So Peter, as I said last time, calls Jesus of Nazareth our God and Savior. Well, people debate that. They even debate whether he existed or not. But they will say, well, maybe he's a good teacher. Maybe he existed. Maybe he's a good teacher. Or maybe he might be a failed apocalyptic preacher, prophet, because he said he was coming back right away soon, and he didn't. So they have a lot of various opinions. Lots of people say he actually didn't even exist. Not real. Not a real person. In fact, in a 2015 survey in England by the Church of England, they found that 22% of adults in England did not believe that Jesus really existed, that he was more like kind of like a Robin Hood figure. There was an article in the Biblical Archaeology Review, and they said that, quote, Jewish rabbis who did not like Jesus or his followers accused him of being a magician, a deceiver. He was leading people astray. But, says the review, they never said he didn't exist, unquote. Bart Ehrman, he's a professor at the University of North Carolina in their religious studies department, also an author. He wrote a book called Did Jesus Exist? And he said, to realize that archaeological finds to prove a person existed is difficult at best, especially of Jesus' day. There's hardly any archaeological evidence that a peasant existed, because peasants didn't really leave behind much evidence. But he did say this too, that within a few decades of his lifetime, Jesus is mentioned by both Roman and Jewish historians in passages that corroborate portions of the New Testament speaking about his life and death. And says Ehrman, their central claims that Jesus was a real person, that he was Jewish, that he had followers, that he was executed on orders of the Roman governor of Judea in the time of the reign of the Emperor Tiberius under Pontius Pilate. They're all borne out, says Ehrman, by later sources with a completely different set of biases. So he existed. He was real. Jesus was real. A real person documented in time. But was he God? That's the key thing. Did he claim to be God? Well, according to the gospel accounts, yes, he did claim to be God. In fact, this is one of the big reasons why his enemies decided to really go after him and kill him, because they understood what he was saying. He was claiming to be God. John 6:38, 41 to 42, also verse 60, verse 66. These are all pointing to, or else pretty much saying, that he's God, that he came down from heaven. He performed miracles, like we've heard. He was a miracle worker. He performed miracles that over the weather, over animals, over people, meaning he healed those who could not be healed naturally. He raised people from the dead, according to the accounts. He even had authority over the demonic realm of this evil, intelligent evil in the unseen realm. That points to him being God. Did he say he was God? Yes, he said he was God. In Mark 14:61, John 10:30-33, he's actually saying that he is God. Now, you can think, well, he was lying, or he was just crazy, or he really meant it, what he was saying. In fact, his enemies, as I said, really believed that he meant what he said, and that's therefore why they killed him. Jesus said he was sinless. There's been no other religious leaders that have said they're sinless. No other religious leaders that prophesied that they are going to rise from the dead and then do it. No other religious leaders have said they're the only way to heaven or only way to God, that they had a pathway to God. But Jesus was the only one who said, I am the way to God, and no one comes to the Father but by me. John 14:6. So those are pretty big claims. He said he was the only way to heaven. So you got to deal with that. Either he is or he isn't. I mean, if he isn't who he says he is, we have a pretty good life. We're living a good life. We go down to the grave. We die in that other order. We die first, and then we go down to the grave. We're eaten by worms. We're cremated. That's it. End of story. Lived a good life. We die. And so if he isn't who he says he is, none of this really matters. If he is who he says he is, then nothing else really matters at all. He is who he said he was, then everything he said was true, and everything he did was true. So you got to look at that and deal with it, because you kind of owe it to yourself. Is he who he says he is? God and Savior. Is Jesus true? Because if he is, you owe it to yourself to find that out and respond. You will be accountable for you. You owe it to yourself. Jesus Christ, God, or just a lunatic, a liar, or is he Lord?